Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, with a dash of garden, chatting about current interests and life in my northern town. You can find show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. You can also find all of my social media, how to purchase a virtual cup of coffee, and all events on the website. Please feel free to stop by and leave a comment. I really appreciate everyone who listens. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving here in the United States on November 23rd, 2024. What a last couple of weeks. It's been slow. It's been busy. It's now ramping up toward a 3 days of work before a 4-day weekend. And I'm very, very excited to have the whole Thanksgiving weekend off. Tomorrow is the family Thanksgiving, and my brother and his son do a great job cooking the meal, and my parents, my brother and sister, and I are gathering with some of the children and grandchildren may be there, but it'll be a lovely gathering with food and beautiful decorations, and I'm thinking they may even have some of their Christmas trees up. Always a great time. I want to say that I've spent the last week doing something very different and interesting. I took a chance because I saw one of those free virtual week-long retreats online, and it was called Zen Making. And it really appeals to me because I'm always looking for a mindful way of crafting, and it turned out to be one of the best virtual retreats ever. It was about stitching, hand stitching, and slow stitching. Lots of slow stitching projects, which is fabric collage. You know, I've been very interested in mixed media, and this is like that with fabric and needlework and embroidery stitches and lack of perfection and not measuring things, and it's all collage, all different types of ways to make beautiful slow stitched pieces. I want to recommend anyone who's interested in these methods, just sign up for the newsletter so you'll know when they do it again. This was like the second or third virtual retreat they've done, and it was lovely. Now, you know, every class is a teacher that is giving you good information and a freebie, but there's always more to that introduction to the topic that they are discussing. And they're looking at growing their social media and promoting, you know, their special classes. Sometimes they have a special price, and you can watch. These are videos that are up for 24 hours and then they're gone unless you buy the extra pass. I love this because I did not need to buy a pass because I took screenshots of the class thumbnails of what the project was, so I will remember. But all of those ideas presented could be kind of amalgamated into one graduation project. But you could buy the material before the class and then make the project with the instructor during this time where you can play the class on your schedule. But remember, it's only up for 24 hours unless you buy the Forever Pass. So I love slow stitching. I think I'm going to do more of it as my handwork. I've kind of put my cross stitch projects. I finished the stitch card in, and I'm going to do final finishes on a few things. But I think for my handwork, which I'm really kind of drawn to right now, I think I'm going to try more of this slow stitching. You remember last spring I did the meditation scroll, and that was a great piece to learn a little bit about this. Now, I could get that scroll out and add more to it if I wanted to, and I think what I'm going to do is make my own type of a scroll or accordion book. I was enamored with the class where you make collage fabric and embellished cottages. The woman was British, so we would say little houses, but there were cottages. Adorable. I have to say, I have gotten a couple of things done over the last couple of weeks. So Stitch Card N was done. I've explored a few finishes and I did frame, albeit temporarily, one of the little cross stitches that I've done. I just cut a foam board piece to wrap the piece in and put it in a really cute 4-inch frame. It's a count once stitch. Basically, it's like count twice, stitch once. That's what it is. You know the old saying, measure, twice, cut once. And it's a cross stitch themed. It was a free or low cost pattern, and it's simple and it's cute. And then when I want to, I can pop that out. And I didn't glue it down or anything. I didn't even lace it on. I could put something else in that. I'm really looking at ways to make framing not be heirloom quality. These are just fun little stitches. They're flawed and imperfect, and in a few years, I don't think anyone is going to miss if they get frayed. And in fact, I saw on Fat Quarter Shop Floss Tools someone who did a frayed edge finish. And it looks like all they did was a type of blanket stitch around the edge and then pulled all the threads out to have a frayed edge. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to explore that some more. And then maybe I'll put some of these pieces in my fabric collages. How fun. So Stitch Card N is done. I don't think I'm going to start any more cross stitch for a while. I need to get some of these pieces, in final finishes like the frame, the fringe, little pillows, and different types of things. I also have done some quilting because I'm motivated. The door decorating challenge for the holidays is up at work, and we have a certain amount of time to get the door decorated. There are actual prizes this year with a dreaded potluck at the end of it. I hate potlucks, germaphobe or whatever. But I'm going to go because I just think it's going to be a fun time to get together with people at work because I hardly ever see them with many people working remotely, people in the community, everyone coming and going. We don't see each other that often. So what I'm going to do is put my Star of Wonder quilt that I did last summer. It was a quilt along free pattern, Fat Quarter Shop. I quilted that over the last couple of weeks and I put the binding on it this afternoon. So I am ready. Then what I'm going to do is also put those gingerbread houses that I made from brown paper bags. Going to hang them up. And on TikTok, I saw somebody use paint chips from Lowe's that, the ones that are pointy that look like a house or a roof line of multiple colors of reds and greens and golds. And I'm going to decorate them with gingerbread. Cut some of them different lengths so they're all taller and shorter. You could put them in a line on your desk. You could do anything. But what I'm going to do is punch a hole in the top, string them on a piece of string, and make a garland out of them and maybe hang it on the Star of Wonder. I just think it's super cute. And all you need is paint chips from Lowe's and a chalk paint pen in white. Really like doing that. I did a podcast interview for the Long COVID Real Talk podcast. It's really a good podcast that's a person telling her story with a few interviews here and there. And I really enjoyed the interview, telling people my story about long COVID and some tips and coping strategies that I've developed with having some of the illnesses I've had over the course of my life, in addition to long COVID. So if you have long COVID and are interested, or maybe you know someone who has long COVID, it's about a 40-minute interview, lots and lots of fun. I can chat, so I tried to rein myself in. You'll be real proud of me. So the other thing that I have done is I have been knitting. I know I've been knitting. I have my wrap. It's a sweater shawl. And I realized that I didn't need to buy quite as much yarn last year. Remember the crisis of finding that, because I thought I was going to run out because I'm big and I wanted to make it big and comfy. Well, the thing is, I was wrapping it around myself incorrectly. And so I added a few more inches, and I will use some of this skeins, but I'll have some left over. And I want to say that I'm down to the cuff, and it will be done. I'm going to do a bit of a block on it to get it to where the edges don't curl quite as much. And I'm going to wear it just in time for the chilly winter. Oh, yes, the days have cooled off. It's been raining. We've had more gray than sunshine, and by 4 o'clock, the sun's starting to go down, and by 5 o'clock, it is very, very dark. So I've dug out my candles. I've got my big 3-wick candle that I had been saving, and I started burning it last year. Oh, I've got a lot of that left, and it's going to be lit here in, probably about an hour here, because it's about 4 o'clock now, to make my space cozy, inviting, glow, and cope with the darkness as we count down until solstice, when some of the daylight returns. We had one little snow over the last week, but it's been in the 40s otherwise, so it's melted. But a lot of gray, a lot of rain. The next thing that I wanted to tell you that I did is, I joined the local quilt guild, and I've actually gone to all but one meeting because we were on vacation, and I realized the Christmas party is December 3rd. What? That's coming right up. So I have been kind of dawdling on the Fat Quarter Challenge quilt that we are exchanging. If you join this challenge, you get a bag. You grab a random bag, and in September we did this, and you make something, a quilt top, bags, anything like that, out of the fat quarters that you're given. And the quilt top that you make, I chose a quilt top, goes back in the bag with all the leftover fabric if you have any, and I do have some leftover fat quarters. The top goes back to the person that put the fat quarters in the bag. So I realized I need to get crack-a-lackin'. I was over halfway done, but I finished sewing that this morning. No, this afternoon also. I've been really starting to sew hard on it for the last 2 weeks, but realized I need to get sewing even harder to get it done. I was going to make it bigger than the pattern, and then I decided, you know what, it's perfect. Follow the pattern. If I were to add extra borders to it, it start taking away from the design, and it hint hint. I'm not going to say out loud because I'll tell you all about it once it's given. It's one of the patterns of the smaller quilts in Lori Holt's new book that I talked about, Prairie. So, you know, you can kind of guess which one maybe that I did. So I am relieved. I have that done. The other thing we're going to do at the Christmas party sounds like fun, which is a quilty white elephant. Like shop your crafty space, your house for things that you have that you don't really want to keep anymore. And I found several books, so I'm going to wrap them up and do that in the White Elephant Exchange. And then we're also going to play a game called Left, Right, Center with three fat quarters. And it's a winner take all game, I guess, where at the end, everyone who participates, there'll be a couple games going, I think, because the group is actually getting larger than the guild, and you take the pot of fat quarters home. I don't remember playing this game for a long time. I may have played it maybe 20 years ago, but I don't remember the rules, so it'll be fun. We'll see if I can remember, see if I screw up, and let's see if I bring home like 20 random fat quarters. That'll be fun. That William Morris quilt that I've been really slowly working on is off the frame. It is a beautiful applique, densely applique, hand. No, it's a machine applique William Morris pattern. I custom quilted it by outlining the applique, and then in the borders I put a stitch, of curls, swirls, and loops, but they don't take over. The fabric colors and the thread melts to the background. It's quilted, you can see the texture, but the stitching doesn't take over the beauty of this quilt. I really love this quilt and I hope the customer likes it. I have another one of her applique quilts that will go on the frame after I take a little break and do one more quilt for a friend, and then I will get to that and then really crank out some of the tops that I have, most of which are wall hanging sized, except for one or two that are Lori Holt, like lap size quilts. So I expect to be the winter of finishing will continue. So that's really about all of the things that I have been doing, making, and quilty related stuff. I am so surprised that I really am enjoying going to the Quilt Guild. And I know the other thing I did is I went to the Lori Holt Club at the quilt shop and nobody else came but me and the owner of the shop, which was great though because I took Stitchy Stars, the pattern, we reviewed the stars that I did and what some of the problems were. She gave me a couple of ideas of piecing methods to try, but I really think that a lot of it is for this particular pattern. You have to be so accurate in cutting and so accurate in sewing, pinning, and the pieces are very small, like some of Lori Holt's patterns are. And I think I'm going to try getting some swing line glue to glue corners down because pins can distort the seam sometimes. So we had lots of piecing tips and tricks and talked about Lori Holt, and it was a lovely, lovely chat. So I'm really, really enjoying getting out and mingling with people in the community. It's been a lot of fun. I need help with a ponytail plant. Any plant people out there, advice? The leaves are all turning brown and the plant's dying. I rescued it. It was in a public place in my office for 20 years. It's been there well before my time. This plant's probably 30 years old. I took it to my office because it hadn't been watered in a couple months, and that may have been the death knell for the plant. But I don't know anything about these. They're really plants that I know you aren't supposed to overwater, but fingers crossed. I know Glenna answered a post that I put up about maybe cutting all the leaves off and just see if it comes back or if it stays dead, which it may. I may bring it home and before it gets too cold and do that and put it on my successful front porch greenhouse, which is staying warm and more sun than what normally happens in this house or at work. So anybody who has a ponytail plant, why is this poor thing? It's super old. I'll put a picture, but the leaves are they're not just turning yellow, they're turning brown, both at the top where it attaches to the stalk of the plant and the tips. Ah, poor thing. I think it's on its last legs. Plants don't live forever. And if it dies, I'll just buy another one because this is a bucket list plant. I've always wanted a ponytail plant. Okay, I took a plunge and I just want to say I took a chance on hiring a housekeeper. It happened to be a Long Armor in Town's daughter, and she did the best job. I feel like a queen. It was the best money I've ever spent to have the main rooms in this house cleaned, and now I have time to take that mental load off and spare my energy and keep it for work and maybe some fun things and not always be doing things that drain my energy. With my illness, it's a big problem. So I know not everyone can afford it, and honestly, I couldn't afford it either if I went with a place where I got the first couple quotes. They were astronomical, where this seemed much more reasonable. And she came as a referral from my hairdresser. So self-care, that's really what I'm hoping um, people take away is like the more you can do in taking care of yourself, the better this cozy season is going to be, the better the holidays are going to be, the better this winter is going to be, the better maybe even 2025 will be as we transition from 2024 to 2025. The winters are hard on me and they get harder as I get older. But the biggest thing is I am a person who really has had trouble slowing down and not doing everything all the time. And I've cut back on the commission quilts. I've cut back on, I don't take any customer quilts anymore. I've cut back on trying to do too many things. I'm only in one quilt along right now, which is only a couple of blocks a month, which I need to post my blocks next week or so for the Sherry and Chelsea quilt, and it's really not a difficult quilt. And I did not sign up for any more quilt alongs in 2025, and I'm going to do my best for until summer to not join any because I just can't do right. Yeah, I just can't do it. I need to take care of myself more, and I thought a few things that maybe would be ideas on small joys and little things that I have found made all the difference for me in taking care of myself and doing a better job at it. Did I tell you I bought the most inexpensive self-indulgent thing? Two for $9.99. I bought fluorescent light covers for work. My office has 3 banks of lights. I may have talked this about last podcast, but the experiment it is overwhelmingly 2 thumbs up. These are pre-cut and hemmed and have magnets in it so that on a drop ceiling with fluorescent lights, I put these covers on it. I've not been told that I have to take them down, and it has been fantastic. I do not have the glare of blue LED light bulbs from 3 banks burning my skin, burning my eyes. I put filters on my computers so that it has a night filter on. I can't do the black background white letters. It's very hard on my eyes, but it's more of a yellow screen to really work on not having so much blue light. I have enough trouble sleeping and enough trouble with eye strain, and the blue light is part of it. All of our things, electronics, are glaringly blue light. So try figuring out if you are getting too much blue light in your eyes. Maybe if you need a filter, mine are colored filters, but you can buy filters for computer screens. Dim it down a little bit. Get the warm yellow lights. Maybe find some candles. You can't burn them at work, but at home. And I'm trying to not overdo too much of the blue light. They say you should shut off the blue light in the evening, an hour before you go to bed. Super hard to do. I am trying to do more of that over the winter. I want to say take time to meet with people who enjoy things that you like. I want to say I had a great time at Quilt Guilds talking with people who like quilting. I had a great time at the Lori Holt Club, even if it was just me, and I wound up being there during the lunch hour, so I saw some of the ladies who work in the shop who came and sat at the table and they ate their lunch, and I happened to know several of them, and we had a lovely conversation. I talk to my mom almost every day because she also signed up for the Zen Maker retreat, and we chatted about what we loved about each day and each takeaway from the classes. Finding people who enjoy some of the same things you do is fun, and the more diverse that group of people is, I think it's enriched my life so much. I've had a blast with it. And I hope to continue to do that over the winter. Um, Maybe go to a sit and stitch at your local quilt shop. Maybe you need some more time at home to just sit and relax. If we are quilting, a lot of times it's at a machine, it's cutting, it's up and down, which is all good for us, but sometimes we need more quiet and slow meditative things. That's what knitting, crocheting, cross stitch and the slow stitching things do for me. And it's super good for us, especially at a long, busy week and you need a break. I'm thinking of even taking some of these little things for tea breaks at work to do. I'm probably going to work on the gingerbread houses for the next few weeks. I have them at home, but I may take them to work and finish the project up there. Another thing I've found is that I'm really enjoying having a nice lingering cup of coffee in the morning and then a nice lingering tea break in the afternoon at work and just being mindful. One of my favorite Instagrammers, and she's also on TikTok, is a Diane Schiffer, and she calls it sit and stare time. You don't think about anything except looking at the beauty around you, whether it's the rocks and crystals I have at my desk at work, because I am a rock hound. I love them. I love them there to touch, to look at. Some of the bracelets I make, I don't always wear them, but I have them at some at work sitting there because they're beautiful, and I love stones. I love the plants I have, both at work and at home. And since the weather here isn't always conducive to sitting outside and having a cup of coffee, sometimes it's just fun to sit and linger and look at the plants. I can see plants where I'm drinking coffee at home, or I could go out in the front porch greenhouse and sip my coffee and tend to them. Being in nature, sitting in your car and just taking in some sun or looking at a park. We get to go to the woods when it's not hunting season, but lingering and just looking for those things. And I am embracing all the things hygge, comfy, cozy for the winter. If I find something interesting, I'm going to try it, even if it's just a one and done one off project. Even if it's only, something that turns out to be 4x4. It's the process of it, right? It doesn't matter that I didn't do a queen size quilt. If I want to try a stitch, maybe I should just swatch up a little crochet square or knit it, and it could be a great little pot holder or coaster mug, something to keep me from spilling my coffee on my furniture or my desk. There's so much that we could do, and then while I'm making it, I could just really focus on those things right here, right now in my life. That's wonderful. There's lots of wonderful things. There's lots of things I am very grateful for. And as I go through and hit the hot spots and tidying up my house and keeping the ongoing war in my craft room of trying to keep my sewing space clean and tidy because it's very small. And as I slowly go through things, some things I keep, some things just need to be organized better. I'm just grateful for all of the stuff I have. I realized after that workshop, I don't need to buy anything. I have all of the stuff to make many, many, many of the projects that were presented. And I don't have to buy a thing. You could even upcycle a lot of things in your home already. I have cutoffs from curtains that they look like linen, but they're not. But man, I have lots and lots of that fabric from shortened curtains that I could make tons and tons of projects, which I am. I'm embroidering one right now. And when I get more of it done, I will promote. Beezy Creations sent me a lovely, lovely pattern, and I am having a great time of stitching on linen with DMC called for floss. It's great. So we're really, really coming up on the time of the year, Thanksgiving to Christmas time to New Year, where I just really want to meditate on that and really keep my mind focused because there's so much chaos, there's so much tension, and there's so much issues going on in my life and in my community and the world. And, I'm shutting off the news. I'm trying to get off of social media as much as I don't know, I've kind of got back into that habit and trying to get more into doing things out of curiosity of doing it, making things. I've got time now and I have a little bit more energy because I've been taking care of myself. I hired a little bit of help and, you know, it's going to be great. And it's okay to have an offbeat meal for Thanksgiving Day. I hope you have the most wonderful week. And if it's Thanksgiving for you guys, have a great time. Have a great week and meditating upon all those things that are beautiful, grateful, and things that we are giving thanks for. And to all of the other listeners, if this is your first time here, thanks for listening. Um, I want to say I'm not sure, with the holidays, how many times I'm going to post in December. I'm going to try to do one and then resume our usual every 2 week schedule in January. So I will talk to you next time on My Creative Corner 3. Check out the show notes at mycreativecorner3.com. Create on, everyone.